Hey, what's going on YouTube? Gary here, gzduel, here to bring you guys my Madolche deck, and I'm playing the TG variant of my Madolches, and it's a bit different than what I've seen on the internet and people who have taken it to like YCSs or regionals. So without further ado, let me just get into the deck profile. We have one Madolche Croissant, 3 Madolche Hoot Cake, 3 Madolche Mageline, 3 Madolche Messenger Lotto, and 3 Madolche Mew Few. And for the hand traps, we have 2 Maxi and 3 Swift Scarecrow. For the TGs, we have the TG Striker and 3 TG Warwolf. For spells, we have Dark Hole, 2 Tenkeys, 1 Heavy Storm, 2 Madolche Chateau, 2 Madolche Ticket, 3 Mystical Space Typhoon, 2 Pot of Duality, 2 Royal Decree main deck, the Solemn Duo, and of course the Ultimate Offering. For the extra deck, we have Naturia Beast, Diamondara Wolf, Gaga Cowboy, Gem Knight Pearl, Heroic Champion Excalibur, Levier, 2 MX Saber Invokers, 2 Madolche Queen Tiramisu, 1 Maestroke, 1 Shockmaster, 1 Acid Golem, 1 Black Ship of Corn, and 1 Zen Maze. For the side deck, we have 3 Droll and Lockbirds, 2 Effect Veiler, 2 Snowman Eater, 2 Thunder King Ryo, 2 Mind Crush, the 3rd Royal Decree as a side deck, and of course the Soul Drain. Okay, so I want to talk about a lot of things with this deck. I've been testing this deck for over 2 months, and I really like it. I think I'm going to take this to YCS Toronto, like I said. And with the first card I want to talk about, of course, is the 1 Madolche Croissant. It's true that Croissant is very versatile. It can be level 3, it can be a level 4. It's also a beast Madolche monster, so it can combo pretty well with Messenger Lotto if you have him. And so why run it at 1 is because you don't really want to draw this guy. Sure, there are some plays that you can, if you have Chateau and you have Ticket, then you can use Croissant and immediately get searches off. That is pretty good. However, if you draw into it, it's very hard to combo off with it. Usually, I showed you guys the 3-wave combo. Usually, you try to special summon this out with the Madolche Ticket. There are some plays with this. Like, for example, if you use Madolche Hoot Cake and you have a Ticket, so you use Hoot Cake, banish something like Maxi, special summon this dog, and use this dog to bounce back the Hoot Cake in your hand so you can use Hoot Cake again, and then the Ticket will activate and Ticket will help you search for Mew. Or if you have Mew in your hand, you can normal summon the Mew, special summon the dog, and then use Croissant's effect, bounce back the Mew, and then if you have Ticket, you can also search for Hoot Cake. So it is pretty versatile, but it's not that great to draw it. I prefer to just have it in a deck so that I can search it out with Madolche Ticket in order to complete my 3-wave OTK. Okay, and then of course we have 3 Hoot Cake because it's like the best card. 3 Madolche Mageline. Some people I've seen run Mageline at 2 because they're not a firm believer in searching out with Mageline. They want basically speed. So these people, they run Car D instead of Mageline because both of them requires a normal summon, and then you waste that normal summon that turn basically. I chose 3 Mageline because I'm still a firm believer in the Mageline plus Ultimate Offering. Come on guys, it's like a 2-card OTK. Just Mageline plus Ultimate Offering plus some life points will get you advantage like you've never gotten advantage before. You can go into Shockmaster, you can go into anything you want. So I still believe that 3 Mageline is great. And of course the Madolche Croissant is a integral part of the Mageline Offering OTK because you can search for the Croissant with your 3rd Mageline, and then you can bounce back Mageline and then normal summon the Mageline again to search for whatever you need. And of course we run the 3 Messenger Lotto. Ideally you don't want to draw this, but if you run it at 3, it's kind of hard not to. But even if you draw it, you should normal summon it, try to bait out traps, and try to send it back to the deck so that you can special summon it out with Invoker, or if it's in the graveyard, you try to special summon it out with Levier when you banish it for Hoot Cake's effect. And of course we have the 3 cats because the 3 cats are awesome. And I main deck the Maxi rather than Effect Veiler, mainly because I feel like Maxi is very versatile. If the dragons go off, then you can go Maxi. If heretics go off. It's just try to help you draw into all of your pieces. With Maxi, you can draw into your you can draw into your Mew, you can draw into your Hoot Cake, and you can have all your pieces for the combo. And of course, Maxi, because it's like hand trap that you can just use whenever, even if it's on your turn when you have all the pieces, you can just ditch the Maxi and just send it to the graveyard, and automatically you'll have one monster in the graveyard. So that's what I want to say about Maxis. If the matchup is not favorable to Maxi, so for example, if you have to face against Prophecy or whatever, then side them out. And of course, we have the 3 Swift Scarecrow. I run Swift Scarecrow at 3, and I don't run any Trags, mainly because I had an experience where I was playing a Dragon Ruler or Elemental Dragon player, and he went into the 2 dragons, right? So he attacks me with Blaster, and he attacks me with Tempest, and then I drop out Trag. So he immediately stops attacking with the Tempest. He overlays the Tempest and Blaster for Dragosack, uses Dragosack's effect to get 2 tokens, tribute 1 token, destroys my Tragodia. So it really didn't, do anything. And I've taken the 2,800 damage from the Blaster already. So I feel like, both of those monsters, Swift Scarecrow and Tragodia in that case would end up in the graveyard. I'd rather use Swift Scarecrow because it's safer. You just ditch it to the graveyard. You don't even take the 2,800 damage. So same thing for Fire Fist. If Fire Fist Bear attacks you directly, then you drop Trag. It's kind of useless because main phase 2, he'll just search for the Tenki, use Tenki, search for another base warrior, and then use Bear to ditch Tenki to get rid of your Trag. It's the same thing, but you take damage and they get a search. And plus, unlike Trag, Swift Scarecrow doesn't special summon anything, so they can't warning it. So that's why I run Swift Scarecrow at 3, because it's awesome. And for the TG variant, I feel like the TG variant is pretty good. It's pretty self-sufficient on its own. If you draw into a TG Striker, you can always special summon it and go for, Nigeria Beast with a level 3 monster. Or if you special summon it and then you really don't want the TG Striker, you actually want the Gen X Werewolf, then TG Werewolf, then you can just basically pass your turn, your opponent attacks into the TG Striker. At the end phase, when TG Striker is destroyed, of course, you can search for the other TG monster, which is Gen X Werewolf. TG Werewolf. I keep saying Gen X. I suck. I'm sorry. And same thing, vice versa. If you use Tenki, you search into a TG Werewolf, then you can set the TG Werewolf, and if that gets destroyed by your opponent, then at the end phase, you can search for the Striker. It's just like self-sufficient. Okay, and for the spells, you have Dark Hole, so that when you use Swift Scarecrow and your opponent says pass turn, you draw into a Dark Hole, you clear his board, and then you go off and OTK him. The 2 Tenkis, of course, just get you the Werewolves. The Heavy Storm is so that you can OTK. The 2 Madolche Chateau and the 2 Madolche Ticket, I've always believed in this. Some people run 3 Chateaus. I feel like that's too much, because if you draw into more than 1 Chateau, it's like, sure, you can play it, and then you'll get a Chateau in the graveyard so that your Tiramisu is live, but it's not all the time necessary. I'd rather have Pot of Duality. It gives me some more options. And if you already have a Madolche Chateau in the graveyard, you don't have to fear, because you can use Tiramisu's effect to return the Madolche Chateau in the graveyard to the deck, because it's a Madolche card as a cost. So you'll never run out of Chateaus and you'll never run out of tickets. And for the spells, of course, we still have the 3 MST because you want to OTK. The 2 Pot of Duality is an interesting thing I added. I felt like if not for Pot of Duality, I would probably play Karkar-D. But for one thing, I couldn't afford Karkar-D in real life. And for the second thing is I play 3 Magileine. So if I have a Magileine and a Karkar-D in my hand, it's kind of weird, because do I make the choice to search, or do I make the choice to draw 2 cards and then discard? Pot of Duality basically does the same thing, except I can potentially Pot of Duality into a Magileine and normal summon Magileine in order to search. So I shrink 2 cards from my deck. So that's why I run Pot of Duality, because I feel like when I use Pot of Duality, that turn it's like an invalid turn. That turn is just used for setup. That turn I can't OTK. So Pot of Duality is okay. And of course, I main deck the 2 Decrees. I just love Royal Decree in the main deck, because a lot of cards can hurt me. Fiendish Chain can hurt this deck. Of course, any protective back row can hurt this deck. Skill Drain hurts this deck. Soul Drain kind of hurts this deck. I'll talk about Soul Drain. And so, like, if you main deck Royal Decree, you won't have to deal with all that, and you can still OTK. Like, your opponent sets 3 back row, and then you flip up Royal Decree, and they're like, okay. And when it's your turn, you just derp, 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 and then you return all their back row with your tiramisu, and you OTK. So that's why I like Royal Decree. And Royal Decree deals with like really cool cards like, like Macro, and also like Abyss Sphere. So that's why I like it. And since I run Royal Decree at 2, I run only like 3 other traps. The Solemn Duo, because there's Solemn Duel, and obviously the Ultimate Offering, because I run 3 Magdalene, and I believe in this Magdalene OTK. Okay. That's a lot to say. For the extra deck, though, not much has changed from before. However, I do run 2 MX Saber Invokers. It's just like it helps with the longevity of the deck. If you run out of all your Madolche monsters, if all your Madolche monsters are in your graveyard, you can simply play a Chateau and recycle all your Madolche monsters back into the deck, thereby setting up for your OTK again. However, you cannot return back the MX Saber Invoker that you used the first time. So, to make this work, you can get into a second MX Saber Invoker, so that even if you have an MX Saber Invoker already used, you'll have another one, so you can keep OTKing if your OTKs don't go off properly. So that's why 2 MX Saber Invokers I feel like is very important. Even though they cost a lot of money, I still can't find the second one, but I still believe that it is a very good card. For the side deck, it's interesting, it's a bit different. There are things I want to talk about, like for example the 3 Droll and Lockbirds. I've experienced playing with Prophecy a bit, and without Droll and Lockbird, there's no way I can win, because they can go Spellbook of Fate, and then set like all their Spellbook of Fates and stuff, and then when it's my turn, I try to summon Hoot Cake. Okay, sure, Spellbook of Fate, remove your Hoot Cake. Oh, okay, I guess I lose then. So I feel like the best way to stop them is to prevent them from using like Judgment, Spellbook Judgment. So you have to use Droll and Lockbirds, try to limit the things that they can do. Plus Droll and Lockbird, since it is a hand trap, it is a monster in the graveyard, so you can banish Droll and Lockbird for Hoot Cake's effect. And the effect valors are self-explanatory. I want to talk about the Snowman Eater. A Snowman Eater is a really good card that my friend suggested. He said that, if you think about Snowman Eater, it can help you deal with a lot of things. It can help you deal with Logia. It can help you deal with Ovion. It can help you deal with like Heroes. It can help you deal with Thunder King Ryo, which if someone is played against me, can hurt me potentially a lot. So, Snowman Eater is good in that regard. Snowman Eater is also good in another regard, because it is a level 3 monster. So if I have Madolche Mew and I have Hoot Cake in my hand, and I set Snowman Eater the first turn, and they didn't get rid of my Snowman Eater, or they attack into it, their monster got eaten, then I have that level 3 monster to exceed with Mew in order to go for the MX Saber Invoker, because MX Saber Invoker is a generic rank 3. So it acts as like an exceeds material, so that I could keep going off with my Madolche Hoot Cake and stuff. I don't have to use it as material, and I can potentially OTK that way without TG Warwolf. So Snowman Eater serves so many functions. I just feel like it has to be sided into this deck. Of course, and the last thing I want to talk about are the 3 Soul Drains. Soul Drain is very interesting because, as a Madolche player, you might think, I can't return my Madolche monsters from the graveyard back to the deck, so my Chateau doesn't activate, my ticket doesn't activate, so, it's actually pretty bad. But if you think about it, Soul Drain doesn't hurt you that much. Sometimes you really want that Madolche monster in the graveyard to be banished for your Hoot Cake's effect. And when you do return monsters, it is by monster effects that you return monsters. So if you use Tiramisu's effect and you return 2 Madolche monsters to your graveyard back into the deck, that's when you actually really want to do it. So what that means is, if you play Soul Drain against an opponent who's playing dragons, or against an opponent who's playing mermails, it'll hurt them more than it'll hurt you, because you don't care if 1 or 2 Magdalenes go into the graveyard and doesn't return to the deck, because you can later on banish those Magdalenes for Hoot Cake, and then you can go Hoot Cake Levier, get the Magdalene back. That's why you play Soul Drain. And when you do play Soul Drain, since you have 3 Soul Drain, you most likely will side out the Royal Decree, so that, if you're facing dragon players, they don't play any back row anyways, so you having Decree is just useless. And if you're facing against mermail players, you having Decree will hurt them a bit against their spheres, but since you still have the 3 MSTs inside, you're not really afraid of the spheres as much. You should get Soul Drain, so that even if they use Sphere and they get out Abyss Lind goes to the graveyard, her effect won't activate because you have Soul Drain. Okay, I've said a lot already. If you stayed this far, then hopefully you learned a lot, and I'm very happy with this deck. If you guys have any suggestions though, I still like to hear them because I am still testing this deck. I love it, and I hope you guys enjoy this. This is Gary gzduels signing out.